It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
And great to have you with us on this Thursday edition of the show. A lot to do over the next 60 minutes. We got you covered. Big news in the NBA. Rules changes. Adam Silver out of touch with reality. Tone deaf. New developments on the Kawhi Leonard aspiration, Steve Ballmer, somebody named Dennis Wong involved now situation. Pablo Torre has new reporting, blah, 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 blah. We'll get into that. David Aardsma's here because if it's Thursday, we're talking Major League Baseball. But if it's Thursday, we're also talking about Thursday Night Football, which might be done by the time you see the show, but it might not because we're on all different times around the U.S. and Canada. So we'd be remiss if we didn't spend a few minutes, Sam, talking about the NFL. Let's start with the Thursday Night Football. We'll get to the Niners injuries here in a second, Sam. We might even get a prediction out of David Aardsma before he leaves us today, because if it's Thursday, we're talking about the NFL. Commanders plus 3.5 on the road in Green Bay against the Packers. Your total is 48.5. Not even from the betting standpoint, Sam. To me, this feels like a missed number. I could see Green Bay winning this game by 10-14 tonight, and it probably wouldn't shock me, based on what we saw in Week 1. From both of these teams. Give me sort of where your head is at right now as we sort of get ready for this game.
I agree with you to an extent, but at the same time, and I think this is why the number's where it's at, this is also a game where I could see the Packers blowing themselves up late and Jordan Love throwing that late interception that ends up costing his team, right? We talk about so much as the only reason that he's not being talked about as a real top 10 quarterback in the NFL. The number's interesting from a betting perspective. It sat 3.5 since it opened 3, immediately jumped 3.5. Overnight Wednesday, we saw 3s pop in the market. Those were immediately eliminated. This seems like a game that a lot of sharps want to bet on Washington, but they're not comfortable. They want to bet on Green Bay, but they're not comfortable laying the 3 in the hook. So yeah. I don't know, Jason. To me, the easiest play is the under in this one. I think that you're going to get a good Green Bay defense. You get a revamped Washington defense against a Green Bay offense that's still trying to find its footing. I think the under's the way to go, but this game just screams stay away and just enjoy it on the couch.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. It's definitely not a must bet for me, but I think there's a missed number there. And if I think there's a missed number, generally, that's where I go. I say every week there's 1 or 2 games where I think the books get it horribly wrong, and this kind of feels like one because I have always believed there would be some regression with Jaden Daniels this year. Much the way we saw with C.J. Stroud, which has absolutely been proven to be true, which I predicted before his second season in the league started, and a lot of people are now starting to ask the question, hey, what's going on with C.J. Stroud in Houston with the Texans? I think there will be a little bit of that with Jaden Daniels, but I'm kind of high on Green Bay in this game, even though you know how I feel about Jordan Love. I have a lot of the same questions that a lot of people do. All right, move away from that game. I don't want to spend the whole segment on it. And let's talk about the Niners, who are in some big trouble right now. George Kittle is out for at least 4 games. And now you've got the news that Brock Purdy will not be available to play, it looks like. At least that's the expectation that Mike Shanahan has discussed. So you could have Mac Jones getting the start, who Sam is apparently much higher on than I am. Mac Jones could potentially be getting the start for the Niners against the Saints this week. Why are you pumping the brakes on me? What?
Because don't act. I'm not saying that Mac Jones is a viable starter in the league.
You just went all in on. He was good with the Jaguars. It wasn't his fault. The Jaguars were a terrible team.
I think what happened in New England was not his fault. I think a lot of people could agree on that.
Agreed.
You had an organization that turned out to be in peril. They've gone through 3 coaches in 3 seasons since. What happened in New England, we cannot hold against Mac Jones. And oh, by the way, he made the Pro Bowl while he was in New England.
Everybody makes the Pro Bowl.
And I'll tell you this right now. If Brian Thomas doesn't have a great season again this year with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, There are going to be a lot of questions into Brian Thomas. There are going to be a lot of questions into Trevor Lawrence. And Mac Jones is not going to get the credit that he deserves for what he did last season in that Jaguars offense. And again, you're playing the New Orleans Saints. And back to the betting for a second, this is a number that before we knew about, I think the Kittle injury was kind of assumed, but before we knew about the extent of the Purdy injury, this number was 7.5. Then the Purdy injury news comes out. It immediately goes down to 3, and it's already been bet back up to 3.5. I love the San Francisco 49ers. I'll give you a sneak peek right now. This is going to be one of my picks come Friday on this show. I love the San Francisco 49ers here.
God.
I don't think the Saints are good. And Mac Jones can game manage his way with the talent that they have on defense to a win.
Famous last words, but hey, I think the Saints, I could see the Saints stealing that game. I could absolutely see the Saints stealing that game. I wouldn't be shocked if the Saints won on the field. I mean, what are you keying in on if you're the Saints in that game? It's easy. I mean, you're going to force Mac Jones to beat you in that game. And I don't have a lot of confidence that he can. I watched a lot. I don't know why. I felt like I saw a lot of Mac Jones last year in Jacksonville with the Jaguars. Like every time
he played 10 games.
No, but every time it felt like I turned on Red Zone for some reason, Mac Jones was playing. Like
he made plays.
Well, no, because they were in the red zone and couldn't score when they'd get down there, probably because that's the only time you put on that they'd put Mac Jones on is if the team's in the red zone, because usually the team was losing. I think this could be Saints +3. I kind of like it. I tell you what I do love, the under. I think the safest bet in that game is 40.5.
Careful, don't choke on the chalk there, buddy.
Hey,
everybody and their neighbor is going to be on the under,
and they'll be building a new casino in Las Vegas when we all take the under, and the final score is 24-20.
21-20. Final score over. Boom. See ya.
Yeah, it could happen. It could happen. Now you got me looking at some of these week 2 lines that I haven't really fully engrossed. Boy, the Browns +11.5. Division, right? Oh man, I know everybody thinks that Baltimore is going to go crazy in that game because of what happened last week. Man, I'm a sucker for an 11.5. Yeesh. Ay.
Oh, I love the Niners this week. I love them.
All right, Sam. You heard it from Sam. If you lose the mortgage, send your correspondences to him. David Aardsma joins us next to talk baseball. Welcome back to the show. It's a Thursday on SportsWrap. And yes, that means Thursday night football preview now because it's the most wonderful time of the year, NFL season. But it also means this guy is hanging out with us, as he has faithfully done, executing his duties throughout the entire season, and he is a gamer. I don't mean Sam Yarnell, but he is a gamer too. Sam's the gamer of gamers. That's all you people need to know. But David Aardsma is here, former big league reliever, hanging out with us on the show. I had fun with Jabba last week, by the way. That was a fun conversation having Jabba Chamberlain hang out with us for the show, and I got a lot of feedback from people on it. So others must have enjoyed it as well. I'm sure we'll have him back on pretty soon. So David, I'm watching the Yankees bullpen implode, and I was saying this to Sam yesterday. I don't know if there's a worse combination in sports than a bad bullpen or a bullpen that's struggling, let's say, because we know there are capable arms in that bullpen.
Yes.
But I don't know if there's a worse combination to have in baseball than a struggling bullpen and a manager that consistently pushes the wrong buttons. No, really. I don't know if you can have a worse combination in sports than that. And that's what the Yankees have right now. And despite the fact they're going to make the playoffs, they'll either be a wild card team or win the division. I say more likely now. I thought they were going to win the division a week ago, but now I'm not so sure. But truly, think about that. Bad bullpen or struggling bullpen and a manager pushing the wrong buttons.
I don't. As a fan, it has got to be the most frustrating thing in the world. As a player, obviously, you're part of a bad bullpen. You just want to figure that out. But it never helps when you have a manager that just seems to constantly tinker or do the wrong thing. When you're sitting down there, sometimes you just know who should be playing and who shouldn't, and you're still scratching your head. That's never a good thing. But it is frustrating to all beyond belief watching this bullpen and watching them and knowing how good they should be.
When there are struggles as a whole as a bullpen, do you just not want your number called at that point? Or are you just hoping you get like 8 strong from the starter?
Just that's when you want a Felix Hernandez just having a 2010
Greg
season.
Maddux,
Just go your 9. Just go. That's where with the Mariners, it was just like, dude, just the moment it was a Felix day, it was a day off. And so that's what you want. You want these days where it's just, you just give us a day off, go throw 9 shutout and save us all from even having to warm up. Yeah, without a doubt. You need to reset as a bullpen. And I don't know how they can do that at this point in the season this late. But it is, again, it's crazy how you look at this man for man. This should be the most dominant bullpen in history. And the way what they're capable of, even like we can go with the 3 big boys. Sam's got
Cruz. No, Sam's got a gripe. There we go.
Yeah, the San Diego Padres are on line 1.
Oh, they're right there, but right, they've got 3 bona fide closers from other teams. I say Cruz, but I meant Duvall. Right, 3 bona fide great closers, and a Luke Weaver who did it in New York, which might be one of the hardest things in all of sports. They should be incredible, and nobody should ever be able to touch them after the 5th inning. But they are, and they're constantly struggling, and that's when it's frustrating. We've talked about this on the show. It's even more frustrating when it's like one guy every night. The 3 guys could throw great, and that one guy screws it up every single night, and it's just a different guy. And then it's like, and you're watching Boone keep going to the bullpen, you're like, just stop. And there's no answer in sight.
Nope.
What's lucky for them, though, is that the entire American League has been pretty horrible lately. Yes. None more so than the Houston Astros, who are about to choke away the American League West. Go look at their numbers since the All-Star break. They've been a bottom 10 team in baseball since the All-Star break, David. I know they get a win last night against a good Toronto team late, and there was some good performance there in that 9th inning from Houston. But what have you seen out of this Astros team? Do you have any hope for them to do anything in the playoffs?
So I still have belief in that lineup. The lineup, there are still pieces of guys getting the job done. Jordan's getting it done. Correa is actually surprisingly doing really well lately. You go in Diaz, like they have some pieces in that lineup. It's just everybody else, it feels like they're doing it wrong. And then you had the whole circus on the mound with Framber Valdez and that whole mess. When things like that happen, and this is the interesting thing, that's but a glimpse of behind the scenes. When you have a pitcher take frustration out on a catcher in whatever way it was, hey man, those things happen. But then there's no repercussion of it. There's no like, hey, I'm sorry. There's no handling in the locker room. There's no, hey, this is squashed. It's done. It's over. Before you ever talk to the media, no, they let it air out a little bit, live on TV. When those things happen, that's that glimpse. That's when you see what's happening behind closed doors, and they're not as perfect as you think they are. And they looked like they were frustrated. And then you see it in their play. And so that's a sign to me that this is a leadership issue, that this is a clubhouse issue that's leaking out onto the field. This is more than just not playing good baseball. This is like you don't like playing baseball together. You don't want to show up in that locker room right now together as a team. They need to figure that out because they're going to be just fine on the field. And it's just leaking out onto the field.
We haven't talked at all about this guy with you, which is kind of amazing because he pitched while you were still in the league, and he's almost ageless. But the renaissance season of Aroldis Chapman, and I know, he gave up his first hit. A's beat the Red Sox, all that stuff. What can you say? How do you explain somebody who's kind of meandered over the last several years, really, around the league and just hung around, and now all of a sudden has figured it out again?
His numbers, the numbers are insane, right? This is renaissance is hard to say for a word for him for what he's doing. It's incredible. Again, he had the streak without getting up a hit, which is amazing in itself. Just I don't care who you are, but the fact that it's Aroldis Chapman at 38 going out, basically 37 going out and just shoving left and right, and then the story where he's like figured out that you actually focus on location. I don't even know. Like I haven't even processed that yet. It's been a month or plus that when that story came out where he said this is the first time he's actually started focusing on location, and that's the difference. It still kind of blows my mind because I don't even know what to think of it, because at some point every single catcher and every single coach told him, hey, like lock in on location, this is where you throw the ball. But then the fact that it clicked at 37 is just another layer of the story. But he's amazing.
Sam, you just had that constipated look that Tucker Carlson normally has that says you have something you want to add. So real quick.
No, we'll get to it on the other side of the break, because it leads to a really interesting follow-up I want to ask David about.
Okay, wow, that's a tease, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about a pro-level tease. Sam Yarnell just gave it to you. We're coming back on this Thursday edition of Sports Wrap. More to do with former big league reliever and closer David Aardsma. Don't go anywhere. We continue the conversation on this Thursday edition of Sports Wrap, where we always talk baseball with David Aardsma, former big league reliever, closer, our guy, hanging out with us. Might have to get a Commanders-Packers prediction out of him before we wrap things up today, too. Be curious to see what he has to say about that. All right, David Aardsma. Sam Yarnell is a follow-up on our conversation we were just having about Aroldis Chapman. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting talking about Chapman and the renaissance he's having when you look around the scope of Major League Baseball and pitchers, specifically in the older pitchers, right? And three come to mind, right? Scherzer, Verlander, and Clayton Kershaw. Those are the big three guys that, first ballot Hall of Famers that are in their 40s still pitching in the major leagues. And it's not the same story that Aroldis Chapman had. So it led me to a question, David. Why is it different for relievers pitching into later ages than it is for starters pitching into later ages?
I think Aroldis right now is like the unicorn of relievers who haven't been seeing this in ages. Where I see the difference with Aroldis and those three injuries. Those other three have been battling injuries the last 3-4 years. You kind of go right across that list and you go, each one of them have had their own demons with the injury side. And Aroldis, the way he prepares, the way he preps, the way he lifts in the offseason, the way he lifts during the season, he's a beast. An absolute beast. He has not slowed down. He's done all the things that you would tell a 25-year-old to do if they wanted to get big and strong and throw hard in the big leagues. He's the one doing it. And he's never stopped. And injury side, when's the last injury you've ever heard?
Thinking
when's
that.
The first injury?
I was just thinking that. He other than like really minor stuff, he's never had any arm issues. He's never had anything.
Unheard. That's the most unheard of.
And when you watch his mechanics, would there be anything that leads you to believe like you're surprised he hasn't or anything like that, or is he just a freakish athlete?
The movements are almost perfect. When I teach somebody deliveries, this is what I do when I'm not doing this, looking pretty on TV. I throw up his delivery and say, just do that. That's perfect. Now, the ranges, the things I would assume he would have gotten hurt at some point was just he gets into such great ranges of motion that it's hard to sustain that over a 37 years, not to mention who knows how many innings he pitched in Cuba. Before this, they could probably threw him like through the ground every single day. But he's been able to sustain it, and then
he could be 45 for all we know. He could really be 45. I mean,
we have no idea. And the thing is he seems to be getting better, but his stuff has gotten better too. Command's gotten better. The velocity is actually probably ticked up a little bit since it was 3-4 years ago. It's ticked up back to his normal range. We're not surprised that he's just sitting at 100 anymore because he had dropped to like 99. And so it seems like he's always a step ahead.
He still cracks 100. He still does, even at his age. He's almost like Nolan Ryan in that regard. Obviously, Nolan Ryan had a lot more miles on him late in his career, and which made it even all the more amazing he could still throw that hard. But Chapman's one of those guys. He's just going to go as long as he wants to go. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Really?
I don't think if he was on any of those early teams, the early Reds teams and stuff, if he's in New York, would that even be a question with his numbers and what he's been able to sustain?
Can I ask you one more thing, and then Sam, you could jump in real quick. If there's a video, if there's a picture that you were just talking about it, if there's a picture you show your students, if you're showing video other than yourself, of course, what video? Like if you got one guy to show. Like, this is how you do it. This is how you maintain your arm, your angles, all this stuff. Who is that guy?
Aroldis Chapman.
Is it really?
He's the one I show. It is perfect.
Wow.
The way he loads in his back, the way he counter rotates. All right, let's get in those terms. And the way he lands, the force development that he brings down the mound. Plus, you talk about his lifting routines. He's it.
If you're watching us in Arizona, by the way, Top Velocity, you can go get pitching lessons from David Aardsma. There you go. Go ahead, Sam.
I didn't realize how I would like to think that Aroldis Chapman is a Hall of Famer too, but he's only got 364 career saves. For reference, Kenley Jansen and Craig Kimbrell are at 474 and 440 respectively. Like, he's going to need a good 70 more saves to get into that.
Would it shock you if he got that, though? Because he's going to pitch till he's 40.
He's 37 pitching like he's 31.
Right.
So...
yeah.
That's a great point. And that's the thing. The saves number is low. You know, feel like he's been around forever. It's been 15 years. Yeah, so that's
the price of being on bad teams, though. That's the price of being on bad teams.
Does it make you wonder what he could have been if he was a starter? I know we're spending an entire segment on Aroldis Chapman, but I don't care. It's my show.
Hey, that's the thing. Yes, he could have been doing this as a starter his whole career. I think sometimes it's the best move is the move where you look back and you figure out who the guy is early in their career, and the Reds did that, and that was a very smart move.
Never forget it. I went to a game in D.C. This might have been like 2009 or 2010 when he was with Cincinnati, and I had seats second row behind home plate, President's Suite at Nationals Park, and I will never forget the sound of Aroldis Chapman throwing a fastball. It's a different sound. People don't understand. It's a different sound when the ball hits the glove than anybody I've ever seen throw a baseball, and I've been around the game for a long time. Go ahead, Sam.
I mean, the other thing that I wanted to talk about with you, David, speaking of bullpens and pitching staffs that can't hold anything together, the Mets are currently considering their ace as some 20-something-year-old who they called up like 2 weeks ago and is 6 starts into his major league career. This team is just in a free fall. What have you seen out of the other New York baseball teams so far?
The same thing where we kind of talked about, we talked about Houston falling, right? And the Houston struggling. The thing about this, though, is Soto's the only one that's even holding it together. Soto's the only one on this entire team that's playing or pitching or doing anything of any sustainability and helping him along. Juan Soto, who weirdly is having an MVP season and should be top 3 MVP
30-30
voting. It's incredible what he's done. 30-30, not to mention like just every stat basically across the board is top 5, and it's going to end up being besides average. And so Soto's the only one I'm seeing it. And that's the thing is we talked about every team having those little moments where they're struggling and coming from it and winning good baseball games. The Mets are struggling at the wrong time. They're struggling right now at a time where they're not pitching, they're not hitting, they're not throwing, and the relievers aren't getting the job done, and that is not a good combination. That's what I'm seeing. It's a little bit of everything out of them.
Yeah, and the Giants didn't do themselves any favors because they could have gotten a step closer out there in the wild card picture. I got a question I want to ask you. It's related to the Giants in this National League wild card and the American League wild card as well. David Aardsma was going to hang one more segment with him to talk some baseball as we continue on this Thursday edition of Sports Wrap. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot more to do. All right, we roll along on this Thursday edition of the show. One more segment with David Aardsma because it's Thursday and we talk baseball. I don't care if it's football season. We're talking baseball. Every Thursday, I am loyal to my man, David Aardsma, the former big league reliever and closer, hanging out with us on the show.
I want to talk football.
What'd you say? I'm sorry. I missed that. What'd you say?
I came on to talk football.
Yeah.
This is disappointing.
I'm going to get a prediction out of you before we go. Of all the teams that are not in the playoffs right now, but still could make the wild card, which is the most dangerous to you if they get in? Is it the Giants? Oh, see, I would have said the Giants. The Evaldi injury really hurts the Rangers. I would have said the Giants.
Yeah, I would have thought Zach Wheeler would have derailed the Phillies too, but somehow they've actually become the best team in baseball. The Giants are a good team, and they've been a great team all along. But again, they're still so mediocre. They're so mediocre. They're 74 and 72. What am I scared of? Like, what about this team really scares me? That they can score runs, but they're not. They can pitch really well, but they're not. And so that's the thing about this Giants team. Like, there's nothing about it that truly scares me other than if they get really hot, they're a well put together team. They're a Brewers like 1.0. If the Brewers were actually Brewers are a really good team. The Giants are not quite as well built as a team, but that's what they tried to do. I feel like they tried to take the Brewers mechanism and try to rebuild it in San Francisco with their ballpark, but there's nothing about it that really scares them. With the Rangers, they still have a bunch of pieces on that team. I'm like, man, I don't want to face that. I don't want to face that. I don't want to face that. Plus, they know how to win. The Giants don't know how to win. They haven't seen a meaningful game in a long time. The Rangers at least still know how to win, and there's players on that roster that have a long history of winning.
David, something that we talked about earlier this week on the show, Jason and I, is kind of the Dodgers and these struggles that they're going through and kind of a state of the union on them. And I postulated that I think that it's gotten to just the right time where everybody has gotten just far enough out on the Dodgers that I'm ready to get in, and I've kind of reconvinced myself that there's no other team as good as this team in baseball, and they're easily going to win this World Series. How do you feel about LA right now, going when we're a month out from the postseason, 3 weeks?
Hey, I was with everybody at the bandwagon, and they're going to win the World Series when we started the year. And I said halfway through the year they're going to win the World Series. I'm still on that train. I don't have any doubt in it. When you have a great manager, a great bullpen, a great entire 1 through 9 on the hitting side, and you have a pitching staff that you just pick your ace, that to me will equate to wins when it matters. And they've then built this team to win 120 games. They built this team to win the 18 or whatever it is now with all the changes in baseball, the 16 wins, wins the World Series, to win a World Series. That's what they built this team to do. And I have no doubt that they're going to go out and just run through teams in the playoffs. When it really matters, they're going to play their best baseball. That's what Dave Roberts tends to always get out of his teams. And so I still believe in this team, and the fact that rotation is pitching about as good as anybody's ever pitched lately. Yeah. Right? That's like, you just had some weird stuff happen when you blow the 8 2/3 no hitter. Like, I don't even still have that. Me and trying to figure out Aroldis Chapman actually focusing on location, and that still haven't processed. And so this team, I still believe in the team. And anytime you have Shohei, Mookie, Freeman, and the whole problem of that 1 through 9, I believe in this team.
A quick thought on Anthony Rizzo, retiring after 14 seasons. Obviously, didn't play last year. Did he play last year? I don't think he played last year. I don't think he played much last year. But Anthony Rizzo retiring. Obviously, the World Series with the Cubs being part of that team finally getting over the mountaintop after so many years. Give me a thought on the career of Anthony Rizzo. Somebody obviously a contemporary of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. He was the one of the best compliments I can always give is he's somebody I didn't want to face when it mattered. He was so when you looked across the field, you always wanted them on your team, and then when you had to face him, you didn't want to. Especially when it mattered the most, he seemed to always step up, and with his smile, connectivity with everybody, he was always talking, always happy. And one of my favorite things I've ever seen is when he gets the last out of the World Series and he puts that ball in his back pocket. Like, that's someone who's thought about this, who's like, I'm going to catch that out. And I love it when people have that confidence, when they believe in their team and they believe what's happening in a historic season, right? And I'm a Cubs fan, grew up like that moment I wanted to go to Cleveland, go watch the game, and I didn't. But when you put that ball in that back pocket, I was like, yep, that's someone who thought about this.
Sam, what are you looking at there, pal? You look like you're deeply ensconced in something. I figured if you were going to use a big word like postulated, I had to use one like ensconced to keep up with you. So go ahead.
0 for 2 with a strikeout. That's what Anthony Rizzo won against David Aardsma in his career.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, Anthony. It's all right. Just remember, like, for the rest of his life, he'll have to think about that.
I don't know the line. I don't have it in front of me. The line on the Packers and Commanders. What's the line again, Sam, on Packers Commanders?
3.5.
All right, David Aardsma. 3.5 to the Commanders tonight for Thursday Night Football. Who you got?
Packers. I think the Packers are a very, very well built team. I think like the whole roster up and down, they've built a very, very good team, and I like how they play. We went and saw them last year. Love can handle, man. The Daniels and Love, like them played against each other. Daniels is a stud, but Love is kind of taking that next level of commanding a team.
Daniels is going to have to do something really special for that team to win this game. They're
going
to have to do something really special. And that's the scary thing.
He can't.
Well, their offense didn't look good in week 1 against the Giants. That's all I'm going to say. So, I am not optimistic. We'll just leave it there. David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer. Love you, man. Be well. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
We're coming back on SportsWrap. Welcome back to this Thursday edition of SportsWrap. Well, I did not have the NBA on my bingo card for September 11th edition of the show. I did not think I would have Kurt Helin on the show. But I called him last night, texted him last night, said, we got to get you on. There's just too much to talk about. So here we are. Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com joins us. NBC, you're home for the NBA starting very soon. The commercials are ramping up. We're seeing more and more. It's getting very exciting. All right, let's run through as much as we can here. First of all, the latest developments out of the Pablo Torre reporting story on this. Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer, aspiration. Now Dennis Wong, some minority investor or some minority owner of the Clippers name is involved. Explain sort of what has happened on Thursday morning, and has it changed your calculus when it comes to this story and how the NBA is treating it? Because my opinion has always been, and I'll just state it real quick for the record, I think the NBA wants this story to go away. They don't want everybody looking into every team in this league to find out if side deals like this are going on. That they're looking for a reason to bury this story, but the reporting that's come out today is going to make it more difficult to do that.
Exactly. And if you saw Adam Silver's press conference yesterday on Wednesday after the Board of Governors meeting, I think one of the takeaways was he was very cautious, very calm, very like, let's see what plays out. Like you said, I think he wants this to be kind of quiet and be able to sweep this under the rug. And now there's just, like that rug's going to have to be huge. They have to buy a new Persian rug for the living room and sweep everything under it. The latest reporting, Dennis Wong, for people who don't know, is a Harvard buddy of Steve Ballmer. Look, Ballmer owns, I don't know the exact numbers, but roughly like 98, 99% of the Clippers, and his buddy Wong owns like 2%, right? Yeah. Like just a little bit. But the latest reporting is that Wong invested about $2 million in 2002 into Aspiration in September, or actually like late 2022, at a point when this company was failing. In fact, the timeline for this is really damning because really quickly, Kawhi Leonard's $28 million, $7 million a year. It works out to $1.75 million roughly quarterly payments. They were late on one. Uncle Dennis is calling them every day, hounding them. Dennis Wong makes a $2 million investment. Days later, Kawhi Leonard gets his $1.75 million payment. That's really damning. And this goes. It makes it harder for the Clippers to claim they know nothing, right? Now it's really becomes much more difficult for them to say, well, I don't know what you're talking about, man. We invested in this company. They were frauds. Well, this is a failing company at this point, and one of their business guys put a couple $1 million in.
And what might bury the Clippers, Ballmer, Wong, all these people, what might bury them is the lie. Is the insisting that it's just there's nothing there, and the more there that starts to appear, that could be ultimately what buries Ballmer and the Clippers in this Kurt, is the fact that of all the denials and really vociferously denying.
Yeah.
And then if all this evidence starts to come out, circumstantial or not, people have been convicted on circumstantial evidence before. If there's a mountain of circumstantial evidence, people are going to say the most logical conclusion is you were doing a side deal for Kawhi.
Right, and that's the problem they're going to run into. They can claim circumstantial, they can claim, and Ballmer can claim plausible deniability, but this is now somebody in the organization investing in a company at a point when, look, the day Kawhi Leonard got that $1.75 million months late payment, he got it in December, they laid off 10% of their workforce that day, but he got paid. It's all just, it becomes harder and harder to buy the they didn't know argument. And even if there is not some sort of legal, there's no paper trail that they can point to, like the Joe Smith case.
Yeah.
You're right. And the CBA specifically lays out, hey, if there's enough circumstantial evidence, you can convict on it.
There's a question posed to Adam Silver yesterday regarding the league and the fact that there's all these streaming platforms involved and how much more difficult it's going to be for the average fan that might not be able to afford a Peacock or a Prime or all these different things, that it's going to be hard to get the games. Adam Silver's response has been termed tone deaf by some in saying, hey, you can't watch the games, just watch the highlights, or even just criticizing his own league by saying, hey, we're just a highlight-driven league, basically. We're a highlight-driven product, which kind of feeds the idea of something my dad used to tell me 25 years ago, which is, hey, the only thing you need to watch in the NBA is the last 2 minutes, which has always been sort of that secret mentality that some of us have, that's the only time you need to tune in. Did Silver seem tone deaf in his answer?
I can tell you that they have a genuine concern about not just how many services there are, but getting people to the right one on the right night. And Monday night is Peacock exclusive.
Yep.
And by the way, if you should spend your money on Peacock. That is where your dollars go. I'm not just saying that as an NBC employee, but their concern is, and then it's on Prime another night, and it's it's over the air some nights, but a bunch of stuff obviously will be on the new ESPN streaming program. It's just a lot of places, and they're concerned about people being able to find everything. And I think the cost is, look, as you spread this out, I think the NFL is going to run into this a little bit, but less so. The more you start to spread this out, the harder it gets. And it's harder to find these deals. Ask the MLS how that's going. Yeah.
Yeah, and I am anxious to see, because NASCAR is kind of going through that this year, but again, it's once a week. NASCAR every week, it feels like every few weeks it's changing. Where do you find the races? And I always have to ask my friends, where are the races? That sort of thing. And I think the NBA is going to run into a similar situation. By the way, I only have 20 seconds. I'm going to put some bets in on Victor Wembanyama for MVP. That guy's gonna ball this year. I have a feeling if he's healthy, I love Wemby.
That team is going to, I think, make a bigger leap than expected. There's no money in him actually winning Defensive Player of the Year as a bet, because, that's probably going to happen if he's healthy.
Yeah.
But top 5 MVP is not crazy.
No, I don't think it is. Kurt Helin, always appreciate you, my friend.
Take care, my man.
Welcome back to the show. Getting set to put the wraps on this baby for a Tuesday. But before we do, some reminders. First of all, if you have not done so yet, make sure to check out the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Amazon, Odyssey, you name it. We are on all of them. 45 minutes, commercial-free, Monday through Friday. Make sure to go and subscribe. You can listen to it on the plane, train, the car, while you're on the treadmill, in the shower, laying in bed, sitting by the pool. If you still live in a place where you could sit by the pool, it's September, it's starting to cool down a bit. Make sure to go and subscribe to the podcast. That podcast, by the way, also available on our YouTube channel, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, where you can also watch Sports Wrap with Jason Page. You can watch this show, in addition to being on almost 300 affiliates around the U.S. and Canada. You can watch Sports Wrap with Jason Page Monday through Friday on our Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. We have clips from the show, sometimes clips not from the show. Segments run long. We've got to add, we run out of time with guests. We continue talking to them. You don't get to see it on television, but you can see it on our YouTube channel, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Sports Wrap shorts are there as well, where you can watch clips from the show, and sometimes, again, not clips that are not from the show. So make sure to go and check that out as well. And without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. It already feels like the end of the season for the Miami Dolphins. You've got Mike McDaniels under fire after his team gets its doors blown off in Indianapolis against the Colts in Week 1. You've got Tyreek Hill on the sidelines, clearly unhappy. And now you have news coming out in the last several days about Tyreek Hill's estranged wife, Keita Vaquero, who alleged 8 separate incidents of domestic violence. Filings related to the couple's divorce have come out. TMZ has those files. And now you have the NFL investigating. And you just have to wonder how much longer the Dolphins and the league are going to put up with the, I don't even say antics, but behavior of Tyreek Hill. NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy said on Wednesday that it is standard policy for the league to review a matter such as this, and they are. Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel told reporters he's been in communication with the NFL. He's going to let the process play out. I mean, look, it's not a good look. And domestic violence is still one of those things in our society in terms of the way it's treated. Look at the Diddy case that's been going on. Go all the way back to Ray Rice and sort of the way we've treated domestic violence in sports ever since then. Hill has denied, for his part, Vaquero's accusations in a statement released Monday by his attorney, saying it's all part of a shakedown and an attempt to generate bad media coverage for the 5-time All-Pro. Look, whether he's traded away, and I don't know how you trade him away with this sort of thing hanging over him. I don't know how you trade him away if you're the Dolphins, and who's going to want to take a shot on him. I know, we've talked about the Chiefs ad nauseum potentially being a potential fit, but I don't even know if the Chiefs would touch this right now until this has been, this case against him, whatever it is, has been adjudicated by the league, and I don't know if that'll happen by the trade deadline. Odds and ends. I want to finish the show with this. And typically on 9/11, I would finish with a thought and a remembrance and a recollection of what I was doing on that day. I was a news anchor back then and was on the air literally reporting in a suburb of New York City, a shadow city of New York, as everything took place on 9/11. And while we remember that day, and I almost hesitated on whether or not I was going to discuss this on the show today. But I have a platform. And as the owner of that platform, I have a responsibility to speak out on things that you're all talking about, regardless of whether you're a sports fan or not a sports fan. And some people will say, well, you shouldn't talk about anything that's remotely political because people want their sports and they don't want politics. Everybody saw what happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk and what could best be described, and I think accurately by many, as a political assassination in this country. And I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of who Charlie Kirk was and what he said. The guy was a father of 2 children, a husband to a wife, a son to a father and a mother, and parents and all of that. Regardless of whatever you think, whatever side of the aisle you're on, of Charlie Kirk. The only thing I'm going to say in the final minute here is this. A lot of the problems that our country faces today, and I'm not running for office here, so this isn't like a stump speech, but I have found in the last 10 years, traveling the country and traveling the world, that a lot of the problems that plague this country, and every time it feels like we're at an inflection point and there's a chance to sort of change the direction of discourse, we go the wrong way, and it just continues to get worse and worse. And I know it's easy to lose hope in that moment. But the one thing I will say to people as we get set to wrap the show today is this. A lot of the ills of the discourse in this country could be solved with one simple thing, and it's understanding. That's the word I want to leave you with today. It's understanding. It's understanding that other people grow up in different ways, and trying to understand another person's life and what they're going through. Just that alone, if we try to see the world through the eyes of other people, can help to resolve a lot of the ills in our discourse. Just try to look at the world through the eyes of another person, one that you might demonize. It's going to do it for us. Thanks to Kurt Helin, David Aardsma, Sam Yarnell, you for watching. Have a great Thursday.